Okay, Simon, just tell us a bit about when mountain cattlemen first came to the area.
The mountain cattlemen first came down from the southern Monero of New South Wales, and they came down into the southern Alps of Australia, into this Victorian region, back in 1835. They brought their cow herds down through the Jindabyne area, down into the Tom Grogan area of Victoria and across into the Bogong High Plains. And this was all taking place in about 1835 when they were looking for better feed for their pastures, for their cattle, etc.
Terrific. So the association itself, when was that formed?
The association was formed in November 1969. There was troubles within the association in that, or within the members of the cattlemen, that they were so vast and remote in areas of the Alps that they never really communicated or liaised between one another. And in the late 60s there was a push from the extreme conservation movement to remove grazing from the high country. So they were forced to come together, and they're usually solitary type people, but they had to come together and unite to prove that they were justifiably doing the right thing in the Alps, looking after the Alps and caring for the high country, rather than what the extreme environmental movement was saying, was that they were damaging the high country. So yes, the association was formed in '69, and then it developed slowly from there. As the conservation movement sort of progressed with its attitudes and ideas, then the association stepped up, and then we moved along and we were having regular get-togethers which just included the local cattlemen finding a nice quiet place to discuss issues of concern of the day. Then after a while, more and more local people came on board. They wanted to be involved in the issues, they were interested in what was happening in the high country, so we opened it up for the general public to become involved, and they embraced that, and it was fantastic. It was a great opportunity for the cattlemen to come on board and show the rest of the state what was happening in the high country, express and talk issues over with them, and to let them become involved in the heritage and the culture that was taking place in the high country. That was, bearing in mind that it's a culture that really hasn't changed in the 166 years. You've got cattlemen that are still doing today what they were doing back 166 years ago in the same styles and methods. There's no mechanisation of helicopters and motorbikes mustering cattle. It's still done traditionally on horseback. They still use pack horses to take their supplies into their mountain huts, and there's sort of a romantic touch to it as well, I guess.
That's great. So the event itself is held over 3 days, and what kind of things do you try and do in that 3 days event-wise?
The get-togethers are an opportunity for people to become involved, to come and witness some of the heritage factors. For example, the Pack Horse Challenge, the Great Australian Pack Horse Challenge, is an opportunity for people that have never seen a pack horse, don't know what a pack horse does, what their purpose is, to come along, see how they're loaded, how they're packed, where you put the eggs so they don't get broken, etc., where all the sleeping gear goes, and to realise that the horse and the animal is number one, so you always pack for your horse first, and if there's any room left, you packed for yourself. All these sorts of things. There's opportunities here for people to come along and see how they built their huts. They used the traditional timbers that were available to build a lean, mean sort of a shelter that kept the elements off their back for a few days while they were mustering. There's opportunities also here at the get-togethers just for a bit of fun and gaiety, to get involved in something that probably had nothing to do with the heritage of the culture, but it's just something fun to do, and it's just a great weekend for people to get together and be free.
Great. Now, this year the events come under the auspices of the Year of the Outback. How do you feel about becoming involved in that kind of bigger scope event?
Oh, look, it's a fantastic opportunity. We see the outback traditionally as being classed as red soil and dust and flat plains, but in reality Australia is such a diverse area. We've got high mountain altitudes to low desert plains, and this is an opportunity for us to show the rest of Australia and hopefully the world that there's more to Australia's outback than just red dust. We've got beautiful mountain alpine peaks, scenery that's just almost unsurpassed in the world with our eucalypt forests, etc. So we feel privileged to be able to bring this forward and show to the rest of the world this part of Australia that is probably really untouched as far as international recognition is concerned, and certainly to a lesser degree here internally within Australia. People refer to the outback as being, as I said, red dust. Well, what about the alpine country here? It takes days to get into some of these unique places. They're remote. That's outback.
Right, so in your opinion, where does the outback start and end, if you had to put it in a nutshell for yourself?
It starts on the end of the freeway, I suppose. It starts at the shoreline of the salt water, and from one edge of the salt water to the other. It's Australia. It's our outback. It's the whole of the continent.
And we'll cut it there. Terrific. That was terrific. How was the horse bucket? No, it's going really well. That's great. All right, rolling up. So Simon, this year the event's come under the auspices of the Year of the Outback, which is a big calendar year of events. How do you feel about being part of that bigger picture?
Oh, look, it's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. It's the opportunity to show to the rest of Australia and hopefully the world that there's more to Australia than red dust and sand dunes, as typifies the outback. There's fantastic mountain alpine scenery that can take days to access. That's remote. That's a long way from anywhere, so that should be classed as outback, I believe. I think there's opportunities here for tourism, for promotion, to show the world that Australia is very diverse in culture and in topography.